The Forms function is accessible from your dashboard by clicking on the Forms button in the top left. Forms is a function that allows you to design, submit and manage forms for any purpose. Essentially, as long as you can design a form for a purpose on a piece of paper, you can design it within the Onwards and Upwards system. So depending on your level of access will dictate the available functionality. So the Form Designer is only available to persons who have access rights to access the Form Designer. Submit Forms allows users to submit forms that are available to them. Typically, most users in the system would be allowed to submit forms, but may be limited in their ability to view forms or carry out analysis. So these functions are dictated by the user's access rights and also any restrictions that are imposed on the particular form itself. In this video, we will concentrate on the form design function. So the Form Designer is here, and through the Form Designer we can edit existing forms or we can create a new form. What we're going to do here is create a new form. So we'll go into the Form Designer and I will add a new form. So we have what we've got after here is the options to add some fields. These are the basic fields that need to be completed before a form is submitted. Any extra fields which are available or need to be completed after a form is completed. So maybe an authorization, for example, would come into extra fields. And we also have form settings. So we'll come back to form settings in a moment, but right now we're just going to add some fields. So for this particular form, we will treat it as an accident form. So what we need in here is a number of information. So maybe we'll add the name, we'll add a pupil field. So this is the pupil name, okay? And we're going to make this a required field, so it becomes a mandatory field. Okay, we want a date. We want to know when this accident occurred, and the date is mandatory. Okay, and we will also add a timestamp, approximate time. Okay, and again, we want that to be mandatory. We can add some time parameters if we wish to. So in a particular form, if occurrences will only happen during school hours, for example, you can restrict the available time here. So we're going to add a text field. So we want to know what happened. So the nature of the accident. What happened, essentially. Again, this is mandatory, but it's a large area. It can be quite an extensive description that is given, so we'll allow a large area so it has a scrolling ability. Okay. We may also want to know whether a pupil was injured or not, or to what extent they were injured. So, for example, we can always come back and change any fields at any point in the future anyway. Was medical attention required? Okay, and I've made this a drop down and I'm going to say yes, so that the options available are yes or no. That's a simple question. Was medical attention required? Yes or no? Okay, we don't need a multi-select, it's one option or the other. We're going to ask another question. Okay, maybe we'll go even further and say, was hospital attendance required? And again, we're going to answer a simple question, yes or no. Now, we're going to add another text field. If yes, to hospital, was the teacher immediately notified? Explain the discussions held. So basically, what happened? What happened after this event? Okay, I'm not going to. It's a large area, but I'm not going to. It's an optional field. Okay, so you get the idea. You can create these fields, but maybe we want to go further. Maybe we want a body map. So if injuries occurred, mark on the map. Look it up. So you can mark a body map and so on. So we're going to consider this form to be field. We're going to make the pupil name a key piece of information, and we're going to save this particular form. So we have our form. Here's our form. Oh, I didn't give it a name. I just called it new. We're going to form settings. Let's give this a name. It's called our accident form for pupil. We'll call it accident form. Now, we have some options here. Can the person who submitted the form also subsequently view the form? Yes, we're happy with that. Can you allow extra viewers? So after a form has been submitted, is it reasonable to invite other people? So yes, it may be that you want to share it later with with other members of staff, or maybe with a Senko or whoever. So yeah, we'll allow it to be shared with other people. Okay, who can view this type of form? It may be that it's an accident form. Maybe you want it to be shared with a school nurse. Maybe you want it to be shared with a head teacher. Maybe you want it to be shared with everybody. But for the purpose of this, we'll just say AK. Okay, so it can be seen by the submitter and it can be seen by user AK1. Now, we're not going to add any extra fields, but if we did add extra fields, if it needed some sort of authorization, we can add who can complete those extra fields in here. So it can be one or more users. We also have the ability to make a form private. So when a form is made private in this sense, it basically doesn't exist. It's completely invisible as far as the general user population is concerned. If a private form exists, it is only visible in the system by the originator of the form and by the specific people that are named here. So if something is private, as I say, it doesn't even exist as an available form other than to the users that are available to view it or allowed to view it. Now that's our form design element completed.